And you mentioned a little bit about the Fed already, but you mentioned about like they could avoid. It is very hard to avoid recession. And
Yeah.
how about the inflation itself? Do you think inflation itself could come down somehow?
Sure. Well, look, why do we have inflation now?
The war and the
Well,
demand.
the war is one reason, but that's not the main reason, because we had substantial inflation for the last year.
Right, right.
So I think the big reports, I think the inflation rate went above 4 in April of 21, and the war didn't start for another 10 months. So that's not the reason. There are a number of reasons. The main reasons, in my opinion, are, number one, the central banks, especially the Fed, gave out so much money and people put it in the bank because they couldn't spend it. And then they had a lot of saved up money, so that produced unusually high demand.
Right.
Number two, because the economy, the productive aspects of the economy were shut down for so long, when the economy reopened, the production was very spotty, very shaky. And, there are 30,000 parts in a car. What if you can't get 3 of them? No cars. So is it hard to believe that after spending a year in hibernation, the economy didn't start smoothly? No. So we had very strong demand at a time when supply was imperfect. Number three, a lot of people changed jobs, left the workforce, the Great Resignation. And this added to the imperfect operation of the economy. Number four, the war. And, you took a lot of agricultural production and a lot of energy production out of circulation. So, classically, inflation comes from too much money chasing too few goods. And we had a lot of that. Now, the excess demand from federal relief money and the inadequate supply because of the hibernation of the economy, I think these things will correct somewhat. People who left their jobs and stopped working, well, I think a lot of them are going to go back to work because they need to eat. And so maybe even someday the war will end and that production will come back on. I don't know. But the point is, I think it'll get better. And of course, the Fed is fighting it with higher interest rates and with quantitative tightening. So I don't know how much that's going to fix it. I don't know how long it's going to take. Nobody knows these things. If you read the commentators, everybody has a different story. So by definition, nobody knows, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
The risk is what we call inflationary expectations. And if people come to believe that there will be inflation, then they will buy to warehouse goods, and that'll cause inflation. It's self-fulfilling. And if inflationary expectations become embedded, then that's very difficult to correct. So I think nobody knows anything about inflation, including me, and certainly nobody knows where this is going. But I think that a year from now, I think it'll be lower than it is today. That's my personal opinion. You should bear in mind that your readers should bear in mind. I don't bet on my own opinions. We're not macro investors. We bet on companies and securities.